Cisco WebEx, is that a free thing?
I know when Dominique, maybe you know, I know when we sign in, it asks for our Harper, when we schedule a meeting, it asks for our Harper credentials. So I think Harper has purchased more of a license. Don or Dominique, do you know that?
Yeah, I believe it's a Harper license.
Oh, excellent. I've been using Zoom, and Zoom is pretty great.
It is, but it kicks me out a lot.
Oh, really?
If you go over 40 minutes, even though I've applied for the education thing, it still kicks me out.
Yeah, the education is K through 12, unfortunately.
I know, but sometimes it lets you.
I know. The first couple times it lets you, and then you get that 10-minute timer and it counts down.
Right. All right.
One of my wife's friends, they went over the 40 minutes. It didn't kick them out, and she got a bill for $150.
You're
And they had
kidding.
a Zoom get together.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
I tried Blackboard Collaborate. That one does not work well.
no.
I use Collaborate for the tutoring, like one-on-one, so I don't have to worry about it. It's not very good quality, though.
It's not. And I do think that this has good quality. Sometimes you have a little bit of background noise. And I think it just depends on people's computers or systems, but I've found this is very useful. So let's go through some of the questions and get your guys' take on best strategies that you've been doing to kind of, first, the best ways for us to connect with our students right now. I'm going to kind of put Dawn on the spot here because we did have a meeting last week and she was sharing her Excel file that she uses to make sure she tracks who she's talking to. So, because sometimes I know, especially when you have multiple classes or even multiple schools, you feel like you're talking to students constantly, and it's those quiet students that we don't quite keep track of because they haven't emailed us. So Dawn, can I put you on the spot and you can talk about your Excel file? Is she here?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just trying to, so, sure, talk about it. So in the past, and I actually stole this from Dominique, who told me that last semester, she was starting to track when she contacted students. So then this semester, what I started doing is going in every week, who's turning in chapter 2, chapter 3. And for me, I'm just a visual person. So when I start spreadsheet and I can see, okay, this person hasn't been in for this long. And especially now that everything's online and it's a lot harder to, it's different than just seeing who's coming to class and who's not coming to class. So my spreadsheet or my Excel spreadsheet just kind of keeps track of any chapter where they're not doing the work. And then also like when I contact them. So this semester I've gotten to the point though where I've definitely had some students who I haven't even heard from since before we switched over to online. And so this is another thing that we talk about is that one of the things that I've started to focus on is instead of sending out 20 emails per class, I've started to focus on those students that are kind of in the low C, high D range and the people that I think really need that sort of extra push. So for several weeks here, however many weeks we've been doing this, maybe like 5 or something, I could really see then who wasn't doing the work and how many times I'd reached out to them and who has responded. And so that's just all the kind of stuff that I'm trying to keep track of on the spreadsheet. But then I've also made a note now of who I've tried to contact like 5 times and haven't heard from. And they're sort of at this point failing miserably to the point where they're probably not going to be able to make it back. And so now I've just started focusing in on, like I said, all the D students and then maybe the low C students just to make sure they still stay engaged. So I don't know what else you want me to share, Kimmy, but that's kind of what I've been doing.
No, that's. Anybody else have any ideas on how to, like, when you're in a traditional classroom, it's so easy to kind of see what students are struggling with, and more so even like on a personal level, their struggles. Because you just look at their face and see that they have other things going on, and especially now, I've heard some absolutely horrible stories from some of my students, but I'm sure there's even more that I don't hear from. So I'm just wondering how you guys have been connecting with your students. Anybody wants to chime in?
This is Jan. After the end of exam 3, I accumulated all of their points, all the student points, and, compared their points to the total available points and let them know where they stood in the class at this point in time, where what their percentage was, what their grade was. And probably close to a third of them were in the NP, okay? Instead of an F, it's NP now, no pass situation. And these are some students, and probably half of those students weren't doing any work when we were meeting in class, okay? And they still weren't doing any work when we went online. And a couple of them, even though they haven't taken the first exam, the second exam, the third exam, they've hardly done any homework. They're emailing me and telling me that they're really sorry, this and that, and they're going to catch up. Okay, and here it is another week or 2 weeks later, they still haven't done anything. But by sending out what I call a grade book on each one of them, it got a lot of the students that were in the like the high D area to contact me, and essentially what they did was they asked me if I could extend their homework for them, and of course I always do. So that seemed to get their attention a little bit when they got their standing in their grade. Now, I get a couple of students that contact me anyway, okay, but those are usually the students that are doing a lot better in the class.
I think that's a great point to make, that especially because we can't see students when we're handing back out a test, maybe after every test we give, to make sure that they know where they're at in the class and that they might need to kind of ramp up their efforts a bit more. Especially, I know some of us are just kind of coming into, I know I just actually finished, I'm on a little bit different schedule for my 101. I just finished exam 2. So I think that's a great idea to make sure students know where they're at. That's going to make them contact you. Anybody else have any other stories or ways that they've tried?
Can I take you back off of Jan and just say I've done something similar that seems to be working, but I'm doing it in gradebook. So in gradebook, I'm adding a column after every unit exam to say like their unit 2 grade. And then I put the grade in there, and then I try to put in the comments, like, you're 20 points away from a C, and you're missing that amount of homework, like, so I'm trying to give them tips to raise their grade within the grade book. And then what that does is it gives me the easy way to see it. Like, so what I do is I open up that grade book item, and then I hide it from the student view when I add the next unit grade. So that way, when I go into my grade book, I can see that the student started with a B, fell to a C. I told them exactly what to do to get that grade back up. And they chose to do it or not do it, or no, so that's something that I've been doing that's similar to what Jan did. Might be a little easier to implement rather than having to email the students. Jan's might be more effective actually, because you're directly contacting the student. But this way, I'm kind of experimenting with it because I'm able to visually see it. So I guess it's a cross between Dawn and Jan.
I'm in Blackboard right now. Where do you put those comments? Because that sounds like a good idea.
if you write,
Where do you
So-
put the,
yeah,
like,
If you put a letter grade, like let's say that you put a letter grade C in a student, like, so you have to change the, so I assign 0 points and I change it to text so that you can put the letter grade in there. And then there's a little drop down next to the grade that you can add a comment.
I think you have to click on the grade and it gives you that drop down.
Yeah, it's a little tiny arrow on the right-hand side of the item. Are you seeing it?
well, on the top column, I see it. I see quick column information, column stats, set external grade,
Let me,
but I don't see anything like where you can add a comment.
Let me get a quick screenshot.
or I can share my screen real quick.
That works, Cami.
See my screen now, except it didn't go to the right one.
Yeah, we can see you, or your screen.
So I have a quick question. Can you see if they are a no pass, if they've already applied for no pass somewhere in gradebook, since Cammie's pulling up her gradebook?
I don't think they can apply until they know their final grade, right? Like that whole so anybody who has an F will not be an F, they'll be an NP, will enter that automatically. But then anybody who ends up with a, and we don't know who those two at this point, so they have to end up with a D. And I don't have the dates right in front of me, but the official grades this semester are grade. Like we have to enter our grades, but then students have like, I'm going to be wrong on the dates here. I can look it up. I probably should look it up, but they have a couple weeks then that they can decide if they want to change it to NP if they have a D. That doesn't
Oh,
happen until the semester is over.
okay.
And the same thing, similarly, if they have A, B, or C, they have that same time frame to change it to a
Okay.
if they choose. I'll look up the dates while we're talking here, but that's how it's not after the semester is over.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
Sir, do we go back in and make those changes once that's done, or is that done by somebody else?
My understanding is once we enter our grades, we're done. That's not something we have to go in and do. That's done through the register.
Okay, great, thanks.
So we enter our grades as we normally would, except for the F's and D, and then everything else happens. I don't even know that we'll ever know that somebody changed their grade. I'm not even sure that would come back to us, handled through the register.
All right, so I want to make sure if you can see, I can't scroll over because it's not giving me the bottom of the screen, but if you click on that arrow next to, can you guys see my screen?
We don't see your screen.
I just see a blank.
Really? Oh,
so FYI, Sarah Weinstein sent us an email on Monday that shows the NP dates.
Thank you. I'll look at that.
now can you see my screen? I'm sharing.
I see black.
Nope.
All right, I'll send out. I cannot get it to show. I don't know why.
See your mouse.
I'm showing you my Blackboard screen, but it's not happening. So I don't know. That wasn't working. I'll give you some screenshots of that to show you how to do that. Oh wait, but maybe I can do it from here. No, it won't give me the option to send. Oh well. It won't give me the option to pick where I have my Blackboard open. So I will send you some screenshots how to do that. I think that'll be more helpful anyway. So let's move on and look at, so one of the other issues that I know I've been having lately is that for multiple reasons, some of this is good, some of it's bad, is how we're connecting students with our other students. Because I know especially in my classes, students like to work together, and they did well that way. And so I'm wondering if you guys have had any success connecting students with each other. I know Andy talked using Blackboard and it was just not helpful. I've tried it before too, and I think especially if you haven't started that way, it doesn't take off. Has anybody else had any success connecting students with each other to study or to work together?
I did use the discussion board, and I had students mostly asking me questions, but not getting a response from other students. So I had maybe 10 or 12 different comments that they were asking questions, but another student didn't respond to that. It was usually me.
I'm thinking about something we learned, Cami, in the online class is require everybody to comment and like ask a question and reply to a question in a serious way, not just hello everybody, great to see you, but respond to somebody's question, but I'm not feeling so. I don't know. Do anything.
Well, Andy, I'm gonna try that for the summer. I've actually, because I teach at Roosevelt too, as Randy knows. Because the students have to do presentations, so I actually post the students' presentations and I say for them to watch it and comment on it and somebody else's, and they've been doing that.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So, but that's at Roosevelt when they have to give presentations. Here, I'm going to start that in the summer. That's a good idea. For every chapter, I'm going to have them either do a question about the material or, like I said, even ask me a question, but piggyback on somebody else's as well for participation in the summer. That's what I'm going to plan to do.
Okay.
I think it gets tricky if you can't give points, right? So they don't want to do anything unless they're points orientated. And so I did throw out some discussion board questions. And a few of them, I had them like write a response to this internal control question. And then with a response, but I think I only had 5 people do it and there weren't points to it. So I think if I would redo an online class in the future, I probably would put points towards discussion boards. And I love this video idea.
Well, I've got 10 points left to hand out participation. So I was thinking about using those as, hey, you want those last points, you have to do something. The summer class, I don't even know what I'm going to do there. I can't imagine. I don't know. I guess that's a separate question for 102. Like, 2.5 hours in person was going to be difficult. I don't know what we're going to do online.
And that's down here. We'll get to summer in a second. But one thing I did want to point out that we have been doing some research on the discussion board and connecting students and connecting with students. And I do think, especially looking into the summer, especially since everything is online, one of the main things that we need to think about is adding points to those discussion boards so people participate, but not only making them content focused, but also, especially those first ones, making sure maybe you put out there, share your favorite Netflix, so people start to get to know one another, and they have something to kind of connect with that they're familiar with. And I think that's helpful because then when they do go back to discussion board, they're going to look for those students that they share something in common with. Just going forward, I think that is a great way to start out, but I do think, in the semester we're in, to try to get them to start using it in the last month is going to be difficult.
Actually, Cami, for the summer, I was just tossing this up because I was going to, I usually have the students introduce themselves to the class, hobby and everything. So I was thinking about doing a video of myself and having each student do that as well. And I would post them and have other students comment on them just so I could put a face to the name and stuff in the summer.
It's a great idea.
Ozark, by the way. Netflix, Best show, Ozark.
All right. My husband's been trying to get me to watch that, and I won't. So
Oh
Which one?
I will.
God. Oh my God.
Which one?
Ozark.
Ozark.
We just started watching that.
Wow. It's insane. You'll feel like a trophy parent when you're into season 2. You'll think, you know what, I'm not so bad.
And I kind of moving forward, and I also, this kind of goes along with that, because I do miss seeing everybody, and you have questions, but it's not that important. But if you run into somebody, you always talk, and I think it's hard to do that when we're online. So what do you guys think is the best way that we connect with each other? Is it this? Do we have this more often? Or is there another avenue that you think would be helpful? Should we reenact our accounting Blackboard and get discussion boards going there so you can just check in? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I prefer this.
I prefer this as well. It's much better to see everybody face to face.
Yeah, I like this too.
Yeah, I'm big into scouts with my boys, and we're even having a happy hour tonight, the adults, just so we could see each other and have a drink online.
And I didn't realize, like, before everybody jumped on, like, Jan had never met Randy before. So I think this is actually might be more helpful than even having our face-to-face sessions, because I didn't realize everyone had not met. So this is good. And how often do you think this would be helpful?
I would think, my personal opinion is every couple of weeks, because we could share things that we're having problems with, especially online, because a lot of these students are not used to online. So if they're not self-starters, it's an issue. And I know Mike and I haven't taken the online class yet. So plus we were 3 or 4 weeks or into the semester, so we can prepare maybe a little better next.
All right, maybe I'll set one up too. I know we actually have our summer session here starting up the middle of May. So maybe we can set one up at least a week prior to that start, so we can kind of share what our Blackboards are looking like and what changes we're going to make for summer to try to implement some of this more online atmosphere. Randy, can you give us a update on the tutoring center? Is anybody going?
Well, Andy's actually had a few. I have had none. I spent an hour yesterday with 2 new tutors. We did a WebEx session where I kind of found out that their new tutors, for example, they have no connection to like SARS yet. So nobody could schedule with them because they weren't connected yet. They weren't sure, that some of the issue I think with tutoring online, especially for newer tutors, is not having access to Blackboard if they're only a tutor, so they can't really see homework. Not having access to textbook. I know you sent me the current textbook for 101, 102, and QuickBooks, which I got the other day. And so that was an issue. I kind of walked them through how to use WebEx and where to log into WebEx so that they could do that. And then actually one of them actually sent all the notes from our conversation over to Ellen. And so I don't know how I think the other issue is selling the online tutoring to the students, because Andy actually has had some of the experience. So Andy, why don't you talk about how your tutoring went?
I mean, I'm not having that much luck with it. I have every single class when we were in person, I literally touted the tutoring center nonstop. And I got 3-4 students to show up, and I thought that was great. I have one student at 10 o'clock today that is trying to get some extra points on the flexible assignment number 2. She got 21 points, and I allow late, but you get 50%. So if she wants to use her last try and get the last 4 points, she can get 2 of those 4. So I'm meeting with her at 10 o'clock. She's the only student that I'm videoing with, because we're doing it through the tutoring center. So I haven't had a lot of luck with it. Like Jan mentioned, I have one student that was failing miserably beforehand, continues to fail, but they email me every other day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I
So
feel like we could create, and I don't know if this falls on you guys, but tutoring or somebody, I mean, a 1 minute little like, hey, I'm, we're here, like some sort of like little quick video that we can maybe embed, and maybe not for this semester, but for the summer, maybe we could create some sort of quick video introducing tutors or introducing how this process works to embed in our summer classes might help.
Yeah,
I'm
I
having a hard
agree.
time.
And I think if maybe we had a standing appointment where, okay, look, 1 hour or something, you just sit there with the camera on and say, hey, guys, you could just pop in if you've got a quick question, maybe something like that. So it doesn't have to be like a formal appointment. It's like they could just pop in and.
Well, then if there was a
Can I comment on that? Can I comment on Andrew's comment about just having a session open? So that's what I've been doing on a weekly basis with my students. And the first week we did it 10 out of my 60 students to pop in and like say hello. And then when I just did it yesterday, I had 2 students. And one student popped in and was like, oh, this isn't a formal session. And I was like, no, I've said or email reminders that this is just, if you have a question, you can reach me immediately. Like we could talk, you could see me. He's like, oh, okay, I don't have any questions then. And he logged off. And then another student came on and he was like, okay, yeah, I have one question. He asked the question and then he was done. And then I kept the session open for the full time and nobody else showed up.
Huh.
And so unfortunately, I have 2 elementary age children here that I'm homeschooling and things like that. So it's difficult to just, keep a line open for, an hour or 2, hoping that 1 or 2 students would come in. So I don't know unless it's required if that's the best way to get them to.
I think that's why they set up the appointments, so that wouldn't happen. Because I don't know if you were on before, Dolores, but my students, I set up a weekly meeting, and the first week, like you, I had a few people show up and then none, and then last night 1. But I don't keep it open. I'll tell them in an email the day of. If I don't hear back from anybody, I'll stay for half an hour, and then I'm gonna, then I'll shut it down.
Right.
And I think in our classes, I just don't think it works. Especially, it might work going forward, summer, maybe fall, to have that time frame. I think people are just trying to survive right now. What do you guys think about the tutoring center? Do you think your students would more likely jump in an open session at the tutoring center if they didn't have to go and sign up? I think that's what the question we're looking at. The
So I know
tutoring center itself.
So from my perspective, my SI is also offering his tutoring center hours on Blackboard Collaborate, so similar. And I think he's only, so he did it all last week and this week. He does it Tuesday, Thursday for an hour and a half.
Very easily because you didn't make these folds in the beginning.
And he's only had 1 person. And I actually have dropped in a couple times just to pop in and say, hey, how's it going? Is there anyone? And the one time I was online, I did chat with one of my students, but so the SI is doing it, he'll get paid for it, but no response as well.
Well, and so if we had one, in my opinion, I think some of this is just going to be trial and error. But if we had 1 student from each class to a joint tutoring session, maybe that would make tutoring a little more effective. So I think that it would be really neat if we could embed and again, maybe this is just a trial, but here is a link. If you're looking for tutoring, here's a link for this session. And embed that in everybody's courses. It might help. But the other thing I'm thinking off the top of my head is maybe there should be a topic, like, especially with the cumulative final exam now being, for this session, it's going to be focused on the accounting cycle. So maybe it's just, hey, in this hour, we're going to review journal entries, or we're going to review financial statements. Maybe that would draw more students. And
I like that idea. I like that idea. You could even do like, hey, we're going to do chapter 1, and we're going to do some random chapter 1 problems. 2:00 or tomorrow we'll do chapter 2. Like you said, it's trial and error. I don't know what'll work, but I like that idea.
I think we're kind of all in different spots exam-wise, but come the final, we should all be on the same page. So maybe Randy and Andy, you guys can talk it over and try to set something up for the final exam and send us a link to the WebEx, and maybe we can get that out to our classes.
Is there a I thought there were no final exams.
The last exam,
Oh, okay.
I guess. For 101, it'll be a cumulative final in our 101 classes. In our 102, it's just that last chapter, those last chapter finals. What do you guys think about that? Should we try it? Because going forward, it looks like summer is going to look like this, and I would like to see if an exam review, if that's more successful in the tutoring center than just these drop-in sessions, if we just kind of throw it out there.
I mean, I think we should try something, even if it doesn't work, like you said. Got to figure out what will work, especially for the summer.
When is the final exam for 101? When does it start?
That it's the last week of classes, so that May
4th, the week of.
No, May 11th to 15th.
Mine's due on the 15th.
Mine
May
too.
11th through 15th. Okay.
I think I would encourage, though, I think if we don't have a lot of people attending, I would try it now and just do it. Like, hey, just some reviews. I don't think that's a bad idea even to start now, because what's going to happen is as we get close to the end of the semester, final's going to be real quick. So, it can't hurt to try it something now.
I haven't done exam 3 yet. It's not till next week. So if the tutoring center could do something on chapter 7 or 8 or 9, that would be great for my students to see if it would work.
I'm on chapter 8 as well.
When is your exam 3?
It's on Monday, May 4th.
Monday, May 4th. Okay.
Mine is in that. My exam 3 for 101 is in that same time frame. I'm giving students a week's worth of time to do it though, but it's due on the 3rd. So it's kind of that same time frame as Dolores.
That's your 102?
That's 101.
101 for me as well. 101.
101. So yours is due 5/2?
5/4.
5/4. Okay.
I was just going to give them one day, so I'm just going to open it up for 12 hours. I don't know. I would like to know if there's something people are doing for exams. Like, are you giving them a week? Are you giving them the exact time? I was going to give them 12 hours. I don't know what is appropriate.
I give my students the whole week. So if they have studied and are ready to take, they can take it on Monday. But if they need that time to study, I give them the whole week. But I don't allow them to see their score or answers until that final due date.
Dolores, I just want to throw out, and this is just, I don't know that I would have thought of this before, but kind of like Lisa mentioned just a few minutes ago, I have a lot of students who are parents right now, and several parents have told me that they only have one computer at home. So their kids get the computer all day long, and then she studies all night long. So she's basically doing all of her schoolwork from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m.
Wow.
I'd be a little nervous about only opening it up for 12 hours.
Okay, so maybe at least 2 days.
That's what I would I'd be a little more, especially right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's so close to the 5/14 deadline even, but okay, I'll think about how many days then. Thank you.
I mean, even if you want to open it up early, you know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, you have to, but, and I do the same thing as Cam. I leave it open for a week. And honestly, most people do it in the last 2 hours,
Right.
but some students do it early and they want, you know what I mean? So
Okay. Yeah, maybe I would give them at least a Sunday because if they have to work on Monday or Tuesday, whatever, so I could open it up earlier. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Going back for just a second, the 102 exams, like mine is going on now, my exam 3. When is everybody else's? Just so we can figure this out.
I have to run, everybody. It was nice seeing you all.
All right, bye, Dolores.
Bye.
Hey, Dolores.
Hey, Randy, my exam 3 is the last week of the semester, the week of the 11th.
Okay.
Mine
That's
as
the
well.
last exam.
mine as well, because exam 3 is our last exam now.
Right.
I'm doing it final exam week, which is the 11th to the 15th.
Yeah, because our class actually ends next week for 2 weeks.
You have a fast track, so it's a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Andy, what's your cell phone number? I'll call you right after this meeting. We can figure out what to do.
847-840-3337.
3337?
Yep.
Okay, so can you talk right after this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got a tutoring at 10 o'clock.
Oh, all right, I'll call you after.
Yeah. Or you could just text me and then I'll call you when we're done.
Okay.
Because it goes, I know they're 30-minute appointments, but since we don't have anybody, I just go as long as they need.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just text you. That's fine.
And maybe I'll talk to you about this, but I didn't know how to do the test, exam 3. Like mine's on 4. So it sounds like you open it up and people can go in there, and
You,
my concern was you can't really stop them from sharing, I guess, or can you?
that's our next kind of topic here. I've been looking at my exams. You can't stop students from sharing. There's really no good way around this. The reason we can't use the Respondus is because it doesn't work on Chromebooks, which is what most of our students have, and the testing center is not open. The most we can do is kind of scramble our questions up. It's not going to stop everything. I know we talked about using just Wiley, so at least students are getting different numbers and different amounts. The problem with that is as soon as Wiley releases their test bank, there's a company called Chegg, and there's other ones too. Most students use Chegg, and all the answers are in there. So you pay this like $10 fee, and you have all the answers to Wiley. So there's really no good option right now, and it's a constant conversation that Harper is having because they thought we could use another program. That program doesn't work. So that's the only way that we can limit the cheating is by providing these timed exams. So students only have a certain amount of time. They don't have time to like take pictures and share it with friends. And to, I guess, scramble and not allow them to see the questions or answers afterwards, so they don't know if they got it right. There's no good answer to this, but if you guys have other ideas, would love to hear that.
Well, I know my son was taking a college math class in high school, and they said whatever you get on your final, like if you failed every test up until the final, you can only get 1 grade above what your average was. So it's not like you can all of a sudden magically, I was failing everything and then I aced the final exam. I get an A in the class.
Right.
But I think this is just a pickle we're all in, I guess.
Does Blackboard allow you to have, let's say that the exam is 50 questions, but you can have 75 or 80 and have it randomly pick 50? So each student doesn't, the bank of questions is sort of the same for everybody, but each student doesn't get the same 50. And then what'll happen is they can't really share with each other because they don't know which they're going to get. Oh, I don't know if that screws up the statistics though either.
Yeah, Randy, I do that with the quizzes where I have a bank of questions on Blackboard.
So
Okay,
we do,
that's what it would work.
yeah, we do have that ability. I will say that, like, for the final exam, I went through the final exam and modified almost every question. I either like changed the company name or I modified the number slightly for the reason the students can Google those questions. So we can absolutely put together a bank. The problem is the amount of time it takes to modify those questions. And I mean, you guys can tell me what you think, but at this point in time, we're not going to keep we're switching textbooks in the fall, and I don't know what's going to happen for the summer, if we're going to have the ability to go back. I'm assuming we might have the ability to go back to our traditional like online setup, which would be the webcams, because maybe the testing center will be open with a limited basis. So at this time, I'm fine just to kind of let things roll. But if you guys completely disagree and want to make a pool of questions, we can talk about that.
I think going forward, if this stays as is, we definitely will make like a pool of questions. The issue again there is then some students might get 12 questions on inventory methods, but nothing on, allowance for doubtful accounts. We can't control the questions they're getting. I mean, maybe that's just something we're willing to, take on. But like for this semester, this is the best we could do with what we got. I mean, going forward, maybe for summer, that is something we're willing to accept, that they won't get tested on the allowance methods because we have no control over that. So,
Kim, I have a question. Because I was going around because I put tests on Blackboard for Roosevelt too. Can you create like different like pools like within the same test, like one for chapter 1, one for chapter 2, one for chapter 3, and then take like 5 from each chapter randomly? So that's one way, if Blackboard has the ability to do that, to make sure that chapters are tested evenly.
Yeah, I can investigate that. I'm not sure if that's an option or not, but that's a very good thought.
Thanks, Dominique.
With regards to the exams, the students that took exam 3 in my class, they didn't do any better or any worse than any of the other exams. So I really don't know how much this cheating is an issue. I don't know if it's that big of an issue or not, because they didn't do any better. They didn't do any worse. The ones that did good before did well. And the ones that didn't do so well in the past didn't do well in the latest exams, the chapter 3 exam. So.
Yeah, it's funny that you're saying that, Jan, because I have a particular student that's doing poorly in the class, and she bombed exam 2, which was still a proctored exam. But I can tell from her emails and efforts that she, like I keep on saying, you need to go to Success Services, you need to go to tutoring, because she doesn't know how to do journal entries. And so I'm kind of thinking the same thing, right? Like, how is she going to do exam 3 without that basic, even when you've got an open book, she doesn't have that basic concept down yet.
Maybe Fast Track is a little different, but I can tell you that several of my students did way better on the unproctored exam than they did on the first one. Like one student did remarkably better.
I've had some of the same issues, and I do think, especially like in Fast Track or in some of our traditional classes that we had before, where students were really connecting and they know each other. Could be online. They could be on the phone with each other taking this test together. Again, they're not getting the same questions at the same time. So, but I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. And I had a student who went from a 46% to a 96%. I just congratulated him on his steady efforts. Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
I just want to throw in there that I think whenever you do unproctored tests, because we've actually talked about doing this just in general, like is it a good idea or a bad idea. I mean, the difference sometimes in the grades is how the students approach it. So same thing, given now, 2 proctored tests and then an unproctored test. I had some students who did worse because I think they assumed I don't have to study everything up, and they all used their full amount of time and they ran out of time. Or they couldn't look everything up. Some students actually did worse. And other students, and I'm doing this in all my classes, I'm encouraging everybody to take notes and study like they would have. So we've talked about this before. Do a good job of just taking a good notes and making a good note card. We actually teaching yourself enough, and then those students are doing better. So I think if you know how to, some of my students went up and some went down, and I think it does have to do with how they chose to prepare for the unproctored test.
And just for the sake of time, because I do want to get to, I know these last 2 things, and I know some people have some commitments at 10 o'clock, so I want to make sure that if you need to jump off, just go ahead and jump off. Remember, this is being recorded. You can fast forward and see what we're talking about later. I'll send out the link. But I did want to kind of touch base because I have had a lot of questions about this, and I've struggled with this as well, about how flexible do we have to be, especially like Jan had said, these students weren't doing anything prior to going online, and now they want some grace. And then I had a student just this week that said this tragic thing had happened and all this stuff. And I looked, I'm like, you haven't done anything yet. And then I felt guilty. So I extended everything for this person. And then she still didn't jump in and take advantage of it. So, but I think here we do have to err on the side of caution. On the other side of it, I've had in one of my online classes, I had a discussion board saying, what are your challenges? And I mean, it brought me to tears, the stuff people are going through right now. So I just wanted to get your guys' input on, are there stories you just don't know to believe? And what are you doing with those? Or where are we at with this?
Tammy, can I just jump in? And I'm going to leave here in a minute because I've got a 10 o'clock meeting. But the one thing that I've noticed in general is that when this all went down, I immediately sent out a survey, and I asked students to email me directly if they were having any connection, if they had any access issues at all. I got nothing. I got very few people actually responded to the survey, and all people that did respond said they had no connection, no access issues. But what I did find is that students were having issues. So I think the students that are actually struggling are the ones that they're so preoccupied with keeping their life on track or, getting money or whatnot, that they're not coming to us ahead of time. And I do believe some of the, and I haven't had a huge number, but I do believe some of the stories that are coming out. I mean, they just feel really genuine. Like, as simple as I just got my paycheck and I bought a computer and now I'll catch up. So I've made some accommodations. The students that need it, I would say in general, I'm finding that they are catching up. So I think that we do need to be in I guess I started this out just by saying I was shocked. Like, to me, if I didn't have access, I would have emailed my teacher immediately from my phone or whatever. So it just surprises me that they didn't contact me until well after spring break to tell me.
Yeah, I don't believe any of my students when they tell me their issues, and I've had several of them. I wouldn't say I spent half my time extending all their homework assignments, okay, but I have spent a lot of time extending homework assignments for a lot of students, because they claim they've had some major tragedy in their home. I mean, I've had like 5 or 6 of them. 5 or 6 of them, give me these big long stories about how everybody's sick in their family, or he got kicked out of his house, or this or that. And so I extend the homework for them, and they still don't do anything. So I don't believe any of them. I just give them the benefit of the doubt and extend all the homework assignments for them, and because I figure it's not going to make any difference.
Actually, Jan, I opened up about 3 weeks ago, I opened up all the remaining homework assignments and quizzes because I kept getting those same emails you did. And so I opened up a few back that people had missed and left it open and keep reminding them it's all due next week. And if you fall behind, I can't go beyond that date. And most of them, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, have actually finished most of it up already. But there are a couple, I talked to Cammie about this. I had to go back to Fast Track, and then I forgot the name within our portal where I sent an email that went to this person's advisor. I got one email back from this person with a long tragic story, and I said, fine, because she missed the second exam. And I said, okay, fine, and then now I've never heard from her again. And she hasn't done a thing, like you said, since then.
Hey, can I butt in for 1 second? I have to leave, but I wanted to ask a question, and then I'll look at the answer. Yesterday I extended, or this week I extended some of my assignments. I follow the faculty where everybody gets 3 tries. Has anybody changed that? I increased mine to 5. If you guys could just tell me what you're doing, like, does that help, or does anybody think that should be changed? I got to cut out, but I'd love to hear.
Are you talking about attempts on the homework assignments?
Yes.
I give them all unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the same.
I give them all unlimited because.
Okay, I got to go, but I'll follow.
What's the
Go ahead,
point?
Andy.
I mean, how is that helping them learn? So I give them unlimited, and I also give them access to the solution too. Is everyone still there? I lost everyone's picture.
No, just Andy dropped off because he has a meeting to get to.
Oh, okay.
But he wanted to hear our viewpoints on that because he'll look at the recording. We're still recording this.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I just give them unlimited because I don't see the point in just giving them 3 attempts and saying, oh, if you didn't get 3 attempts, then you're done. I like to give them the opportunity to take as many attempts as they can in order to learn from the problem.
And I'll share that I also, because I had taught my traditional classes in a flipped classroom, we did the homework or most of it during class. So we had unlimited attempts, but it helped me see how students do homework problems. And I've found that giving them the unlimited attempts, they use all of those attempts not to see if they're not to cheat, but to make sure they're on the right track. So they would press that button every time they put something in. And to me, that's learning. Like they want to and rather than doing a whole problem and realizing you did the whole thing wrong and having to go back, it just kind of reinforced, okay, here's where I'm at. I'm doing okay. It builds their confidence. It's helping them learn. Would I do that going forward? I think so, because I think it's helpful for them to make sure they're on the right track rather than to learn it the wrong way and then have to go back and change that thought process in your mind. That's just my opinion.
Well, this is Lisa. What I've told my students is I give them 3 attempts, and then I say, if you've tried it 2 times and you're on your last attempt, email me and show me your work of what you're doing. And then I can kind of say, hey, your work says this, but you really should think about it in this way. and I try to get them to get on the right track so that they could get the answer. So then I've had several students do that. They'll email me and they'll say, I'm on my final attempt. Is this the right answer? And if it's the right answer, I'll say, yep, you got it. Or I'll say, I'll give them some feedback to say, this is maybe how you should approach it. And then I've gotten response saying like, yeah, I did it the way, you explained it and I got it right. So, because otherwise, I don't know, I feel like they'll just keep typing in stuff until they get it right, or they get so frustrated they just don't do it.
And Lisa, I do think that that's, especially in an online environment, it's more helpful to give those limited attempts because then they're kind of forced to contact you if they're having problems. I do think that is a good strategy.
Did you say ding the unlimited? What did you say about the unlimited access?
No, I think what you're doing is good.
Oh, sorry.
It forces students to contact you if they don't.
It does, yes.
But and just for Andy's purposes, and for those of you who haven't taught 102, that unlimited attempts is not really an option in 102. I think you have 15 possible, and I do have students who contact me and say, I've hit it 10 times. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So like you were saying, Lisa, it forces that conversation with the instructor at a point where they're stuck.
Right.
And then as far as like how much, especially for flexibility for this semester, as bad as it sounds, I think this semester is just gonna have to be here. I'm gonna give you everything I can. Do with it what you want. If they don't do anything with it, then it kind of falls back on them. But even that one student that this tragedy happened probably to her third cousin once removed's dog. I don't know who it was, but she's still not doing it. Even after I went through, I got her access to books for free. I've done everything I could think of. But then at least I know she can't come back to me or to our dean or anybody else and say they were not helpful. So I'm not sure that helps you, because I know there were questions with, what should I do here? But hopefully that does. And just one last quick thing, because I know we're kind of running out of time here. For summer, I know Dominique had jumped in, but if you guys, I hope you guys are reading the daily emails from Maria Coons. I think they're really helpful, and sometimes there's like nothing of importance in there, but last night's I think was really important, and I will forward that out again just so you make sure you have that, because it had some adjustments to our syllabi and some other information in there that it's going to be helpful for summer. One of the things that I kind of just glanced over and missed that Dawn brought to my attention was that the services did not have room numbers. So that they're not saying anything, but that kind of tells me that the Harper campus will not be open. So it kind of looks like whatever we're doing now is going to continue in the summer. Again, we don't know what the stay-at-home order is going to say or if things could change. But for those of you who have started planning or need to start planning your summer classes, I would kind of go with the thought process that it's going to look like this semester. And then, so I will forward that email out again, just to make sure you can. Sometimes when I try to search within my email, it's horrible. And then looking even forward to fall, I know because I live in the district, there's a lot of talk at school, and I think it was even on the news last night, that schools are going to look a lot different in the fall. So I don't think Harper is any exception to that rule. What does it look like? We have no idea, and I think they're still throwing out ideas of what that is. If you have any thoughts or great opinions. I would love to hear them. You can email them to me or share what your thoughts are. But do you guys have any questions about summer or fall or what? No, not saying I can answer anything, but anything you want to think about?
I have a question about the summer school. I don't know if I should address it now or maybe I should address it with you personally.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, I monitor the registrations of all the instructors for 101. And I know that the full-time faculty all have online classes. And I noticed that the full-time faculty all have online classes except for one. Dominique, I think, has one full class. But the other full-time instructors don't have full classes. Okay, so the thought in my head is, and I don't have a problem with this, okay, I'm just asking you this because I'm trying to plan my summer, okay, in case I don't get a class. But I'm just thinking that they're going to possibly move all of the adjunct registered students that are registered adjuncts to all of the online, I'm sorry, to all of the full-time instructors because they don't have full classes. Is that a good assumption?
No. So I'm actually glad you asked that in front of everybody. I think it's something we should address. I asked this question specifically in our last meeting with the dean. And let me share a little bit about the summer schedule, what it looks like. Even though everything is online, you know those little codes at the end of the course, like 001 or 002?
Yeah, the sections.
The section numbers, those are not changing. And why that's important is that's how they show up on registration. So the ACC 101-001 course is going to be the first course that students see.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, because it was supposed to be a traditional
Right.
class. And I'm the first, it's the first one on the list.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's not going to change at all. So your course being the section 001 is the first course that people will see. So that's the first thing that might actually be hurtful for some of our online sections because that is the last class that people will see. You know what I mean? When they pull.
Yeah, right. I understand, but we'll then say, well, we have these full-time instructors with nothing to do all summer, and we're paying them. I think we're going to take all those students and say, Jan, your class is canceled, and tell those students to all move to the full-time instructors, which I don't have a problem with.
No.
That's just the way I think, and I'm just trying to plan.
No, I get it. And so that was like the second half of our conversation because the people who are in this meeting are all the full-time instructors, and they're all concerned that their classes aren't going to run because students don't see those. And
right.
What the dean had said is that he has to be flexible with enrollment. If your class has one student in it, then maybe we might have to do something. But if your class has 10, it will run. We're not going to smush all these classes together.
Oh, okay. Because I have 14 of them.
Then you're going to be fine.
But I think maybe 13 of them registered before we went online.
Right, but it won't. Yeah, so it won't matter. We're not trying to reach full class sizes.
Okay.
If there's two, even if I personally had the same class with 13 in each, I would have two classes.
Oh.
You're not going to start combining those.
It just seems like a way that they could save money if they combine.
But Jan, can I just jump in here, Jan?
Yeah.
So our contract, what we get paid for, does not include summer. So we get paid extra in the summer too. So it does not save the college money for me to teach it over you. We get paid.
Well, they wouldn't have to pay me then.
But they have to pay me. So if I take over your, they have to pay me extra.
But he's saying that they should merge the classes if they're not full.
Okay. Is that okay?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
guaranteed us they will not do that.
Oh, okay.
So if you're already, and I've been trying to monitor that summer enrollment, just to kind of see where we're at, to see if, I mean, from what the news reports say and everything, is that all of these students who are at four-year universities might not go back, and they're going to look to the community college instead to take their classes. So we might be looking at actually adding classes in. I do not think we're going to have an issue with enrollment. So I have been trying to watch and make sure that classes are filling. I don't think we're going to have an issue, but they will not merge combined classes. So if you're at even that 10 point, I would start planning.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure I'm not sure what to do.
No, definitely.
Okay, but now you've cleared it up a little bit.
Yes. Now come fall, I'm not sure if that's the case, and they're still looking at class sizes and what that's going to look like, and what to do there. So that's a big question mark. But summer for sure, everything that's on the schedule that has students in them, you know, more than one, I think, is going to run individually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I do think when we are wrapping up this semester, I have a feeling, and I think it's Dawn actually brought this up, while we're putting in grades and trying to wrap everything up, and like we talked about flexibility, when and how much, I think that we might run into a lot of people who say they can't complete this semester for various reasons. And again, here we are dealing with this flexibility issue. I think that if we run into it, you can contact me and we'll work through it on an individual basis. And that's when we kind of looked back and say, well, where were they at before and what is really going on? So I think hopefully we won't run into that. I wouldn't throw it out to a student saying, yeah, is there a reason you didn't finish? But if somebody does come to you, just maybe contact me and we'll work through that. Does that make sense?
Is that, I mean, are you talking about whether they should get an NP or an incomplete?
Right.
Incomplete.
I'm saying if a student
Incomplete.
is asking for an incomplete,
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
then let's look at that together. We'll look at that on an individual basis. And again, I wouldn't offer, but if a student does come to you, we'll look at that together.
I just throw out the discussion of incompletes because personally I foresee that there could be an increase in requests for incompletes, or some of us may feel pressure to give incompletes because the college keeps asking us to be flexible. So my personal opinion is, like, if I'm working with somebody and they're making progress and I feel like it's valid, then I may actually bring up incomplete, but I don't think I'm going to approach it any different than I normally would, like foresee giving a whole bunch of more semester. Because, Jan and some of you have mentioned this before, I'm in that same boat. I've either got students doing the work and therefore they're doing okay, or I've got students that are at about 30% and, whatever, they're not doing anything. So, I mean, I just don't have a in the middle right now, but so I don't foresee a whole bunch of incomplete. I just don't think we should feel pressure to give it.
Does anybody else have any last questions or concerns that you wanted to address while we're all here?
I just wanted to say, Cammie, because I don't work all of the summer, but I would like to be included if I could, if we wind up having some meetings so I can stay on top of everything. And if it gets tight, let me know and I'll see what I can.
Oh, no, definitely. Even all instructors who are not included or working this summer will always, it's one group, we're all in this together, and your opinions and your experience. None of us work through an issue, so definitely. One other thing that I just wanted to kind of bring up now, because it does involve summer, that I'm working on, because I know usually at the end of the year we try to do something together and keep learning, and that's obviously a little challenging right now. So what I've asked our department to do is sign you all up for memberships in Tactic. It's Teachers of Accounting at 2-year colleges. And what they provide is monthly webinars, which start on May 15th. So once that gets all resolved, and you guys might just get an email saying welcome, because I gave them all your email addresses. So make sure you check that Harper email. But what I would really hope to get out of this is that we as a group can participate in some of these webinars and then have some really good conversations about them, because it is truly focused on teaching accounting at community colleges. So I think it's going to be helpful for us moving forward, especially with all the changes that are happening. So hopefully you'll get something about that soon, before that May 15th, which is that first webinar. So just kind of be on the lookout for that.
One more question. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Okay, I'm taking the fall off at Harper.
Yes.
Okay, so will I lose access to all my emails and
No.
calendars or anything like that?
No.
Okay,
You'll still have access.
okay.
Mhm.
That's all.
All right. Any other questions? Well, it was great to see everyone. Thank you. Somebody had no?
Thanks, Cammie.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Thank you.